I'm Jerry Nolan, and like a lot of you out there, I spend a good bit of my time on someone else's clock and under a deadline. But when my weekend gets here, I'm on my own clock, and sometimes I just have to get away. So follow me, and I'll show you some far out places to go, some cool things to do that won't necessarily break the bank. So what are you waiting for? Put down that honey-do list and catch me if you can.
Hey everybody, on today's show, I'm staying right here at home in Mitchell County. I'll be exploring an old barn, house, and cemetery while I make my way to find a campsite on the other side of this farm. This old farm has been in my wife's family for generations, and there are signs of that history spread throughout this property. I start the day's journey here at this old pecan grove. This section is now fenced off to keep in livestock. As I pass through, it's not long before the oh-so-curious and very lovable donkeys Ida Pearl and her mama, Jenny May, stop me for a visit. Ida Pearl, the little one, now full grown, is the baby of Jenny May, a mammoth jack breed of donkeys. Ida Pearl was born on this farm and resembles her father, which was a standard breed donkey. The first donkeys believed to reach what is now the United States crossed the Rio Grande River in 1598 with Spanish explorer Juan de Ante. They were then documented in what today is Arizona in 1679. The rural population grew out west during the gold rush years of the 19th century. Today, donkeys are kept on farms for a number of reasons. They make gentle, loving pets, especially for children and the elderly, and they make excellent stable companions for horses. And when pastured with sheep, goats, and cattle, they will protect them from attack by dogs and coyotes. In Calvary, Georgia, the importance of the donkey is somewhat celebrated each year with a festival, Mule Day. It takes a male horse and a female donkey to make a mule. After a short visit, it's time to continue on. I have to cover 3 miles before I make camp. It's not long before I find myself at the boyhood home of my wife's great-great-grandfather. This old house built of heart pine, I'm sure, was at one time a dream home. The place a mother would be proud to raise her family and was the sign of a better life. Now to look at her sad face as her tired life will soon be at end, I can't help but to try and picture her in a better time. Children running in and out, slamming the screen door, grown-ups rocking away on the front porch talking about the weather. Those days have long passed. As I walk through, I wonder about the different families that called her home and wonder if they were happy living here or was it just a place to stay for a while till something better came along. I'm sure, like most homes, the older she got, the less care she received, as evident the years of dust and decay. Not far from the house is a group of barns also built of heart pine, the trees that built the South. At one time, longleaf pine forest covered nearly 70 million acres of the southeastern coastal plain. Many of these trees reached to heights of 175 feet and took from 150 to 400 years to mature. Now sitting out here in this old pecan orchard is a small reminder of the majestic trees. Built back in the days when it was built to last, no longer needed but at one time couldn't be without. These barns are still standing strong and have many years left in them, and are just begging for a little TLC so they can go back to work and live another 100 years. My guess at one time this barn was used to house feed for mules and horses, seed for planting, or could it have been cotton and tobacco waiting to be sold? I'm sure it did it all. Now it's filled with household items that were placed here many years ago. For the reason these barns were built, it has long been what they are used for now. Standing like giants, beautiful to look at, not because of what they are now, but what they represented.
Todd's Lawn Care specializes in tree removal and trimming. They do it all. No job is too big or too small. Stump grinding, backhoeing, bush hogging, Todd's Lawn Care has the tools and experience. Licensed and insured for your protection. For a professional job from the ground up, call Todd's Lawn Care.
Hey, Southwest Georgia, it's Billy with Carpet World. Did you know DuPont has created a new carpet fiber for Mohawk carpets? It's the greenest carpet fiber on earth and is made from 60% corn. That's right, corn. It also has the industry's best warranty with lifetime stain warranty and 20-year wear warranty. It can't be beat. So call Carpet World at 229-432-7916 or come by today and ask about the new Mohawk Smart Strand carpets. Carpet World, 911 West Oglethorpe, Albany.
Even a minor storm can cause damage to your roof, such as missing shingles from wind or hail damage. So call S&S Roofing today for a free inspection before a small problem becomes a big problem. And remember, Southwest Georgia, we've got you covered.
Supplying products that build dreams, Short and Park.
Here at Short and Falk, we're South Georgia's millwork specialists. Whether it's new construction or replacement windows from Ply Gym, doors from our custom shop, or specialty molding, we have all the products to turn an ordinary house into a home. For more information on innovative products for your home, stop by any of our 4 locations or visit us online at shortandfalk.com. We're not just a hardware store, and we're a whole lot more than an ordinary lumberyard.
The spin zone is open at 80 Outfitters, and that's the good thing. We'll hook you up with tackle for fresh and saltwater. Hundreds of rod and reels, Yeti coolers, and coasters. Fishing and outdoor wear by Guy Harvey. Under Armour, Columbia, AFCO, and more. New and used handguns by the thousands. We're going overboard for fishing at 80 Outfitters, even with kayaks and canoes in stock. Hey, big wave! Come see me, Jack, on the well one.
As midday approaches, I carry on, and it's not long before I find myself at an old cemetery located on the farm.
You can see there Robert Cochran died February 26, 1889. And almost 10 years to the day, his wife died February 25th, 1898.
At least 23 graves here are marked, while many others are not. The oldest marked grave was dated 1856, and the newest mark was in 1902. A survey done here in 2002 shows that a grave marked with a tombstone for a Confederate soldier, Alexander Cameron of the 10th Confederate Cavalry, could not be found. His gravesite was recorded in a much earlier survey. This cemetery is not maintained on a regular basis, but the undergrowth was clear-cut several years ago. A man was bit by a rattlesnake in the process.
This is the winter months. In the summertime, you can barely see this. They say it gets so overgrown that you would not know this place was back here.
Once again, I hit the trail less traveled. These woods are full of reminders of life past. At one time, there were a dozen or so sharecropper families living on this farm. And it's not long before I find myself standing at the old home site of Ed and Gato Bush. Ed, the grandson of slaves, lived on this farm for most of his life. He and his wife stayed back here living the same way they had for so many years.
All right, what you are looking at here is an outhouse. This was a real outhouse. Not like the pretty little things you always see in the westerns. they used this place up until the mid-70s, probably 78. They didn't have electricity until around 1974. It never had an indoor bathroom. Just to kind of give you an idea of the size of this, this outhouse, I'm about 5'9", and I stand taller than this thing. So, I mean, from the time you stepped in there, you were bending over.
There's not much left of their old home. A tree fell on it in the 90s, and fire took the rest in 2003.
They were burning off the land, and fire got out of control, spread over here. Of course, this house was built out of Georgia heart pine and had done turned to kindling, so once it caught on fire, I mean, it burned completely up. There's really not a lot left to prove that there was a house here other than these bricks.
And the remnants of an old hog pen that lays nearby. I remember seeing this thing partially intact just a few years ago.
So what you see here are some old chicken coops. These were probably brooders. I'm sure the chickens just ran around free range. See a lot of these big jars out here. A lot of these big jars. And the only thing I can think of was that they probably had to pickle everything and pickled a lot of things. So they would just save these jars. But eventually they ended up out here in what looks like an old trash dump.
Todd's Lawn Care specializes in tree removal and trimming. They do it all. No job is too big or too small. Stump grinding, backhoeing, bush hogging, Todd's Lawn Care has the tools and experience. Licensed and insured for your protection. For a professional job from the ground up, call Todd's Lawn Care.
News doesn't stop for the weekend, and neither do we. Stay informed with WALB News 10, the #1 rated local newscast in South Georgia.
A violent armed robbery in Albany.
More local reports.
There's also evacuees from the Navy and Air Force.
More local weather updates.
You're going to see some thunderstorms pop up.
More late-breaking news.
Albany's psychotherapist charged with sexual assault is out on bond tonight.
Get more out of your weekends. WALB News 10, live, local, late-breaking.
If you got the fever, Captain Cody Cash with My Fishing Adventures has the cure. Book your charter today out of beautiful Carabel, Florida. Captain Cody has the numbers to put you on the fish. All you have to do is show up. So stop thinking about it, just do it. Call My Fishing Adventure today or visit our website, myfishingadventure.com. Hey, you never know what tomorrow brings, so come fish with us today.
I'm Dr. Ivy Chubb at Bush Animal Clinic. Pancreatitis is a disease of dogs that can be life-threatening. Clinical signs include bloody diarrhea, vomiting, and a painful abdomen. Send us your questions at WALB.com. Ask the expert pets. We're here for you.
Attention do-it-yourselfers. Buy direct and save. Smith Built in Sasser lets you cut out the middleman and buy metal roofing and siding direct from the manufacturer. No job too big, too small.
For all your metal roofing needs, call Smith Built 698-5000.
Honey, are you all ready to go fishing with the guys this weekend? I packed your bag and put it in your truck, and I also baked your favorite cookies for your drive to the lake. Hey honey, I have your truck packed and ready for you. Got the drinks in the cooler. You're all set. You enjoy your weekend with the guys.
We're all finished now.
Wow, that was easy.
We buy gold, we buy silver. Albany Music and Pawn pays top dollar. Mike Cannon has been buying precious metals for over 20 years, and there's never been a better time to sell your gold or silver. Stop by today or give Mike a call because he'll come to you. Albany Music and Pawn.
The spin zone is open at 80 Outfitters, and that's a good thing. We'll hook you up with tackle for fresh and saltwater. Hundreds of rod and reels, Yeti coolers, and coasters. Fishing and outdoor wear by Guy Harvey. Under Armour, Columbia, AFCO, and more. New and used handguns by the thousands. We're going overboard for fishing at 80 Outfitters, even with kayaks and canoes in stock. Hey, big wave! Come see me, Jack, on the well one.
I started the day's journey early this morning. Now it's late midday and I head on. Just off this old farm road is another homestead, just one of the dozen or so that used to be out here. Now, this building here is a prime example of the very old South, where they actually kept the kitchen separate from the rest of the house. Biggest reason being, if the kitchen caught on fire, you would have the rest of the house to live in, hopefully. And probably has something to do, too, with the summertime here. You know, these houses were small. Imagine the heat that would be in this kitchen would be in the house. Now, what's interesting here is that the kitchen is still standing, but the house is not. Not sure what happened to it. Now that's left is just this old chimney and a couple of cornerstones where the house was supported by rocks. You know, right now this whole place seems like it's right in the middle of the woods, but at one time this whole yard was cleared, and they probably had grass, they probably raised chickens and had hogs and maybe even a cow, a milk cow if they were lucky. And right through the woods, probably about 50 yards, is a cotton field. And I'm sure at one time you could see all the way to that cotton field. You could look out this kitchen window and see the field. Someone at one time, now it looks pretty wild now, but at one time this place was fenced off. This old fence right here. They used to raise cattle back in the 40s and the 50s, I was told, along with the farming of cotton and peanuts. And somebody had some money tied up in some fence. Let's see, some Coke bottle here it looks like. Intact. You don't see a whole lot of that. Embossed glass Coke bottle. Made in Albany, Georgia. I'm going to keep that one. Especially because it's in pretty good shape. It's not chipped or cracked anywhere. Talked to Uncle Jesse about this. There's another one, looks like. Nope. RC, I think. Broke. That's what most of them you find out here are like that. And throughout these little homesteads, you find jars and bottles, just trash basically. There's old trash piles scattered throughout this farm like this. Like I said, the last family that lived back here did so into the mid-70s. Over here, look like what used to be probably a pretty nice serving pitcher. More soda pop bottles. They love the Pepsi around here. I wouldn't doubt if this was something my wife drank out of as much as they love Pepsi. Look at all these Pepsi bottles. You can never mistake one of these for what it was. Clorox. Color of the bottle and plus their names on it. It's getting late and I have to pick up my pace if I plan to set up camp before dark. And right here is just another prime example of some of the sharecropper homes that were here on the farm. There's a lot of beautiful lumber still left in this house. Well, it's only been about a 2.5 mile walk from the front part of the farm to here where I'm going to camp tonight. I still have to gather wood for a fire, set my tent up, and cook dinner. Right now, I got to try to get some firewood gathered up. The sun's going down pretty quick and the temperature is dropping just as fast. Wanted to show you something here. I found this deer antler laying out there in the woods when I was gathering firewood. You can see where the squirrels have been chewing on it.
I'm gonna throw it back out there for them. Not gonna take it, I just wanted to show it to you guys. Kind of wood right here will be good for cooking. It'll burn fast and easy. This dry grass will be perfect for starting the fire. Probably should have put this down first, but it'll be all right. All right, so we got that done. It's time to cook dinner, and on the menu today, it's gonna be chicken noodle soup, campfire style. I'll fill my little stock pot up with water. This is the boil of the chicken, or the chicken noodle soup. There we go. Get that burning pretty nice. Yes, sir. And just like any chicken noodle soup, I'm gonna bring the water to a boil and then add my chicken. Okay, for this recipe, it is really simple. I got 4 chicken thighs there, 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Spice it up with whatever you want to. I'm gonna use this Uncle Bob's Everything, a little bit of curry powder and some cayenne pepper. And the noodles are gonna be our no yolk dumpling style noodles. Real simple to do, folks. Uncle Jesse showed me how to make this little chicken noodle soup. It's real simple to do. It doesn't take long at all, and it'll feed a lot of people. I'm just going to use 4 little pieces of chicken. That'll be enough for me and maybe somebody else. But I probably will end up eating the whole pot. Not tonight, but eventually. Have me something for breakfast in the morning. All right, so that water's starting to boil now. Going to add the chicken to it. There we go, 4 chicken thighs. Boil it right on up. All right, so we got my chicken thighs in there. I'm gonna season them up just a little bit, because I'm gonna season it a little later too once I add the noodles to it. Add that Uncle Bob's to it. Look at that, pretty. Boil on up, chicken. Next, I'm gonna add a little bit of this curry powder, my favorite. Not too much. And next, I'm gonna spice it up a little bit, some cayenne pepper. Not too much, or make it as hot as you want to. Let's put the lid on there, let it cook. Hey, you know, I had someone ask me one time, said, Jerry, don't you get scared when you're out there camping by yourself? Well, of course I do. I mean, you're out here in the middle of the woods, who knows what could happen. But I do carry some protection. One thing I have here is this kukri knife. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Kukri knife. Anyway, I got that thing. Imagine what that might do to you if I needed it. I use it to chop, you know, limbs with. Next on the list, I got this little skinning knife, antler handle. Somebody gave that to me as a gift, and I've had this thing for 20 years or better. Same thing with that other knife. But in case I do hear a little banjo music and somebody shows up and says I got a pretty smile, I carry this. It's a little K-bar knife. United States Marine Corps issue K-bar knife. I was never in the Marines, but this is a fantastic knife to have, so I got it. And if I were to have to get into a little hand-to-hand combat, maybe I would use it. Probably not. I would probably just run through the woods screaming for my mama. So there you have it. And every now and then I do carry a pistol, so I'll leave that up to anybody that wants to get a surprise. Get back to cooking. There it is, sun setting across this old cotton field. It's going to get dark and cold. When I started out this morning, it was in the mid-50s, a little overcast. A little after lunch, the clouds moved out and the temperature started dropping. All right, so that chicken is boiled. Now I'm going to get a couple pieces out of there and I'm going to remove that skin. Okay, so once I get the skin off of the chicken, and you don't really have to take it off of there, and most people do, I do. Uncle Jesse, on the other hand, now he'd leave that skin on there And in some cases you can. When I'm at home, I usually take it out and even debone the chicken, but out here it's a little kind of hard to do. I don't really have a prep table anywhere to do that kind of stuff. So do the best I can, get the skin off the chicken, and then next I'm going to add my cream of mushroom soup. So once I add the soup back to the chicken, put the lid on it, I'm going to let it boil for a little while longer, and then I'm going to add my noodles. All right before it's done, you're going to add a little more cayenne pepper, some Uncle Bob's everything seasoning. You can use any kind of everything seasoner or whatever you want, and my favorite, some curry powder. All right, so y'all want to know how you know when your chicken noodle soup's done? When you stir it up like that, and all the meat on that chicken, see that? It's falling off the bone. Oh my, that's way too much for me to be eating on. Goodness gracious alive. Now that's a meal right there, y'all. Campfire meal at its finest. We know it looks good, but does it taste good? That's $1 million question. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I bet it do. All them noodles and that meat and them spices. Smells wonderful. Oh my goodness. It's so good, y'all. Look at that. Big old piece of meat in them noodles.